When I tell y'all, there's absolutely no way, if I was in that courtroom today, there's no way that I could have sat through Cassie's testimony without breaking down. I mean, this is just absolutely crazy. I know everyone has seen all of the headlines, and so I really, in my recaps, I want to get into things that aren't really being said, because we're all sort of seeing the same headlines. So in this video, I want to talk about everything that I personally learned from Cassie's testimony in day two, and it was really about. Cassie and the prosecution establishing Diddy's dominance and control over Cassie and their lifestyle. And so Cassie, she names several of his employees and assistants. She even named them, which I was so happy about because even that girl, Christina, whatever, who is, I don't know if he's one of her assistants or his chief of staff, but she was definitely named. Cassie was being managed by James Cruz. And he had her in a 10 album deal. She only released one of those albums plus maybe a mixtape. I mean, you tell me, you probably know Cassie's music better than me. And so it was very heavy, but I did hear that there were some lighthearted moments, funny moments, like for example, when they were talking about Cassie's career in music, and the prosecution asked Cassie why did she only release or why didn't she release more than one album? She kind of laughed and said, "Is that a question for me?" Because that would really be a question for Diddy because he was signed to her. He's the CEO of Bad Boy, right? Which is where she was signed. And so in the beginning of their relationship, it was really just a private thing because at the time, Diddy was still publicly linked with Kim Porter. And oh my God, I kind of want to do like a deep dive on like all of these different women and what Diddy used them for. Anyway, um, so I know that Cassie did cry at one point. Now, like Diddy had her in full workout mode where she had to make sure that her body was right. You would think for her career, but no, clearly he didn't give a fuck about that. He never gave a fuck about that. And in my first diary entry on this trial, I established that we need to understand that everything when it comes to Diddy is about his obsession with control and power. And so even going to as far as to control her appearance, and like we all sort of like engage in this type of behavior if you're in a relationship, wanting to look the way that your partner likes people to look or whatever, like how he likes your hair or how he likes your nails and stuff like that. Anyway, when Cassie was in punishment, Diddy had his security and staff take away Cassie's laptops and phone, and they would be gone for however long she was punished for. It was just disgusting to hear the amount of drugs that Diddy had Cassie doing, and it's just like it's so disgusting. But you're gonna hear me say that so much, from ecstasy to Molly to cocaine to ketamine. And even I just heard that shout out to Armand Wiggins. He said that Diddy would even have the S workers taking Viagra, and even Cassie took Viagra as well. Like that is so crazy. So let me pull up this thing right here because this goes into the some of the drugs. So it says Cassie said she had to take drugs to disassociate from what was happening and to become emotionless. She earlier, of course, she mentioned Molly, ecstasy, and cocaine. She says, oh, she also took Special K, which is ketamine, GHB, which is also a date R grape drug, as well as mushrooms to suppress reality. That is so crazy. I don't she never did a freak off like sober. And it's really interesting because I think that escorts were offered something too, but I'm not sure. And I kind of want to know if the escorts really knew about like, like their dynamic or whatever. Anyway, she also used MDMA as well. It's too many drugs. I can't imagine. And this is the thing. It's like I can't imagine somebody else having that much control over me, being forced to take drugs. What? Anyway, one of the biggest revelations was orchestration and how like the freak offs went. And all of most of our lifetime, it's always been rumored, and people always try to figure out, is Diddy gay or is he not? And so y'all let me know what y'all think. Okay, so like one of the biggest headlines, and this is the way that they ended Cassie's testimony today, which was her saying that the escorts or the S workers, they had to ejaculate or whatever, and whether that was inside her or on her. And then after she was done with the session with that S worker, she had to go in the next room with Diddy, and that's when they would spend time together, which is so crazy. It seemed like that was the only time he gave her the real time of day, which is disgusting. And he wanted her to rub it on him. And so but at this point, I'm watching Academics while all of this is being revealed, and Academics crashes out for like 20 to 30 minutes because in his mind, right, Academics is a straight man. He's also Jamaican of Jamaican descent, and you know how they are with the Batiman stuff. Like they really deep down, they really don't like gay people like that. And so academics takes that revelation to say that Diddy is gay. Now, I want you guys to let me know: do you think that Diddy is actually gay, or is he bisexual? Because we haven't really heard about him really having any contact yet with any of these other S workers, these male S workers. And so I don't know, but like I think that that's a thing that people are running with, and probably rightfully so. Honestly, who gives a fuck, And that's the thing. But like, yeah, I just want to know what you guys think. I have 2 pages of notes from today. It's important to establish that he choreographed from everything from these freak offs, from the temperature in the room, so what would be in there, the candles, the lights. And he opened up to Cassie about voyeurism. And actually, they started the freak offs, I think, within like 6 months of their relationship, of starting their relationship. Mind you, at this point, she's 21, he's 36. So that's about 15, 16-year age gap. I ain't gonna do too much about that, but she acquiesced because she really wanted to please him. And I don't know if like they did too much on this, but like I kind of want to establish the fact that like Cassie was never really looking at Diddy in that way, which is why she was surprised when he took her into the bathroom and kissed her. I forgot where it was, like if that was his birthday party or whatever. But obviously Cassie falls in love with Diddy, and she wanted to do all of these things to please him, to not make him angry, or for him to go and do these things with other women. And honestly, I kind of feel like Cassie was the only woman that he did these freak offs with. When she expressed her concerns to him, he was very dismissive, and she also tried to do it gently. So, circling back to how he controlled her, she had to be wax shaved, freshly tanned. She even made her get her private parts pierced. Okay, and that's crazy. And these freak offs happen from New York to LA to Miami, New Jersey, Ibiza, around the world, and that is super important to establish for in regards to the sex trafficking charges federally, because this is a federal case going across state lines and even country lines. Like, wow. Okay. And so another big revelation was all of the baby oil. So one of the things that Armand said was that it was one of the times like he got like a blow up pool of baby oil and she had to drench herself in it. They would use like, I think it was 10 bottles of baby oil per session. These freak offs could go from 9 hours to the longest one was like 4 days. And she said she would never sleep because she was just on all of these drugs. I cannot imagine. I literally can't imagine. And the most disgusting part about all of this stuff is that he even made her do this while she was on her period. I really cannot. Like, this is the part that really makes me emotional, because it's just like, shit, when I'm on I don't want to do shit, you know? And even to have sex on your period with your partner, that's one thing, child. Ain't nobody could judge you for that. But to make her do it with who knows what and who knows who and how many people, that is truly disgusting. Now, one of the escorts didn't even feel comfortable continuing with her because they didn't know her status in terms of her health status. Armand is saying that he thinks, of course, like it's not crazy to think that there has to be some type of sickness or something somewhere, some sort of STD, especially if like Diddy is making her do this without using condoms. Like, this is just so crazy. You have no agency over your own body. And Armand said that, looking at Cassie on the stand, like he could just tell that like this girl is really broken, and not in a financial way, but really just in a spiritual way. And I hate to hear it, because I feel like, I'm sure that Cassie has done so much work on herself to heal from this. And obviously, like, healing is not, linear or one-way street or whatever. And this is just really sad that, she has to live through all of this testimony again. And we're not even on cross yet. And she's doing this while 8 months pregnant. Like, this is so crazy. This is so sad. Like, I really cannot. Now, one of the battles in the courtroom is, what can the gallery hear and see from these tapes? And it seems like even I don't know who I heard this from, but even the media companies, big media companies, had their lawyers present. So all these journalists are here everywhere from whoever, like whatever big platforms and or publications. But those publications even have their lawyers, coming down to the courthouse to argue and or plead for the gallery and journalists to be able to hear all of the graphic videos and audio evidence or whatever, because of the public interest in this case. But it seems like the judge is ruling against that, and so the judge doesn't want any of the journalists to hear it, and they're really trying to restrict all of this to the jurors by giving them like headphones and stuff. And so I mean, I don't know what to say about that. Obviously, I wish that we could all like witness this and stuff, but we have to remember that it is is graphic, and these recordings were meant to blackmail, to humiliate, and stuff like that. And this is already so much for Cassie because and both of them, everybody involved is so sad because it's like just listening and experiencing all of this is one thing. But imagine if you're Cassie and your family is hearing this. This is the craziest part about it. They don't care about us. It's the people who's closest to them. And Diddy was also exercising power over her family as well, from taking them on vacations, paying for their vacations, and he even hired Cassie's brother to work with her, on her team, on her artist team or whatever. So there's that. And they said that he would really do that, like take them on vacation or whatever, after there was some sort of blow up with him and Cassie, and there was he felt like that Cassie was telling them. And actually, I gotta note that wasn't said in the courtroom today. That was because while I'm watching academics, he's playing all these other interviews from all these people that's being named, and that's what they were saying in those things. Because me personally, I actually would be a good juror in this case because I never really looked into all of Diddy's security guards who do these interviews talking about him. Like I never ever listened to that stuff. So yeah, that's what I got from today.